Hi. So it's about 5:45 on 13 Guerre. We're just about to go into the Q'anil Trecena, and I was going to make you a nice video down by the lake, but the rain started, which is hardly surprising considering we're in the middle of rainy season and it's in the afternoon, which is when the rain usually falls. So I tried, but we're inside again. You know, this Trecena that's coming up, I find a very, very interesting one. And I know I usually find something interesting about each of the Trecenas. Anneal is all about ripening. It's about bringing things to their fruition. It's about bringing things to their yellowness. And when we look at it in the context of the calendar, this can indeed prove very interesting. Now, there always is, always will be, a very great debate about the beginning and the end of the calendar. When does it start? When does it end? Well, you know, the calendar's a circle. There technically, or theoretically, is no beginning and there is no end. A circle doesn't have one. We could consider it rather like our day. So if we were to say, when does the Gregorian day begin? Well, the Gregorian day begins at midnight, yeah? When does our day begin? Well, we might say that our day begins at sunrise. When the sun rises, that's what we could see as the beginning of the day. Or we might consider that the time when our day begins is the time when we begin work. That's when our work day begins. So our understanding about where the day begins very much depends on what we're actually using the day for. Okay, and we can see this very much in the calendar as well. If we're using the calendar purely for initiation, or we're using it for ceremonial purposes, then certainly it makes sense to use 8 bats. Washiki bats is the first ceremony. It's the initiation ceremony. It's the first day of the ceremonial calendar. It's the first day of the ceremonial cycle. Okay, so we've got that. We can also see that we can use the calendar in a particular way, and some day keepers here will tell you that the calendar begins on 1 bats. Then you have other people that will use 1 imosh to begin the calendar on. So consequently, the calendar will finish on 13 Q'anil. Now, from my point of view, if we're looking at larger cycles within the calendar, if we're looking at things like the cycle of evolution of human beings or the creation of the universe and, you know, those kind of minor things, then what we can see is that 1 imosh is like the first egg, the first potential, the very first seed that's going to grow and become everything else. 1 imosh is kind of like, it's not that it's the lowest potential. It has all potential within it, but it's like really like 1 cell that's going to then become everything else. We can also then see, as we follow through, you can go through a cycle of creation, we can go through humanity. We all began as an egg within our mother, and then various biochemical processes happen until at some point we return to the source. And when we return to the source, that's an Q'anil event, reuniting with the divinity. 13 Q'anil, reuniting with the spirit world of the ancestors, with the divinity of the ancestors. Okay, so we can see that 1 imosh could serve us very well as a starting point where everything emerges from, and 13 Q'anil can see very well as a finishing point that everything returns to. Now, why am I talking about these? Well, because 1 Anneal, the Trecena that we begin tomorrow, is the final 13 days leading up to 13 Q'anil. It is the final ripening of this 260-day cycle that we're in right now. The final process that's going to lead us up to kind of like stepping up to the next level. You can think of it like a spiral, and each time that we complete 1 circuit of the spiral, we may have moved around 360 degrees, and we've also moved up however much amount. So it's kind of like we never go up in steps. We're always kind of like going up the ramp, as it were, rather than up the steps. And when we've created 1 cycle, we've moved by X distance. Okay, so this is a cycle of our evolution. Of course, we all have our own cycles within that runs from your Mayan birthday to the next one. This is your own pattern of evolution. But we also have this larger cycle of time, this growth. So this cycle of time is taking place. We're here, and we've got 13 days to finish it off. Now, when we look at Anneal, one of the things that we see about Anneal is it's all about ripening. And that ripening is the yellowing of the maize. And we are the people of the maize. And so this is kind of like taking us to our full ripeness, taking us back to spirit, taking us back to our yellowness. Okay, so it can be seen as a very important time. This is a great time to get things finished off. You know how, like, let's say if you're in the Western world working for a standard kind of company, people like to get things finished off by Christmas, finished off by Easter, finished off by New Year. There's certain break points that come up. Well, Trecena of Q'anil can also be one of these ones where it's like, right, okay, we're finishing something off. Okay, and Anneal gives us this ability to bring out the yellowness of something. Now, the yellowness of something, what does that refer to? Well, when you look at, for instance, maize, when it comes to yellowness, it's coming to its full potential. It's coming to its final point. It's coming to the point where you've been putting in all the hours over the 260 days, hoeing your maize, watering your maize, tending to it, getting bugs off it, all that kind of thing. Then finally it comes yellow. You can harvest it, you can take it to market, you can roast it, you can barbecue it, you can boil it, you can put butter on it and eat it however you like. And joyfully you receive the abundance, you receive the return of your energy from all the work that you've put in. So this is what Anneal is about. It's about kind of like getting to that point where we're going to harvest the abundance. It's ready to be harvested. And of course, as we see, the end of that Trecena is going to be at Trecena of Q'anil, which is this kind of like, I don't know even how to put it, like inflection point, the joining point between the two cycles, where we're moving from one cycle into the next. Okay, so it's kind of like, sometimes I think of Trecena of Q'anil, I know this is a very grand term, but it's like the ascension day. It's that point when we finally realise, yes, we have turned the corner, we've moved up one step, we've moved forward one page, as it were. We've gone through that cycle. Okay, so exciting time, as I say. Now, interestingly enough, as I said, I'm recording this on 13 Q'anil. It's also solar zenith here today, and I went to a very interesting presentation last week, which was talking about the recalculation of the Chab to actually begin on the 14th of August. So 14th of August is kind of an interesting day, and like as I said, tomorrow we're going to begin this new cycle. So what can we say about the Trecena of Q'anil? This is a time to ripen. This is a time to bring your projects to their ripeness, to their fullness. Get them ready to take that next step. Anneal is fertile. It's joyful. It's a time for really kind of attending to the details to ensure that whatever you're planting, whatever seeds you're planting, can come to their whole ripeness. Okay, so we're going to begin on one Anneal. This could even be seen as planting a new seed, because Anneal can represent the seed, and one also represents novelty, represents a seed, represents a new birth. So this is kind of like a new seed that we're planting, which is going to take us, maybe this is going to take us into the next cycle. But it's the beginning of the ripening process. This is the way that we can really see it. So it's a great day to come up with anything new that you want to ripen, anything that you want to bring to its fruition in the next 13 days. If you've got a project, a plan, an idea that's been on hold for a little while, now's the time to apply your energy to it. Get out there, get it done. You've got 2 weeks to finish it. If you do it in those 2 weeks, then you're likely to kind of like guarantee, let's say, a joyful, fruitful, bountiful harvest from it. Okay, because you can apply that Anneal energy to it. So one Anneal, it can also be starting kind of like, as I say, starting the ripening work, planting a new seed if you like. That's another good thing to do. Anneal days are always great days to get out in the garden, if it's appropriate in wherever you live to get out in the garden and do some garden work right now, then Anneal days are really rather good for it. Okay, So from one Anneal we then go into two Toch. Now two Toch, interesting day. Toch, a service and payment. Toch, kind of like going out of your way to look after people, to look after things, to serve something or someone. And the number two representing lovers and relationships. So this is a great time to treat your sweetheart to something nice. It's time to look after your relationship. Time to put some effort, some energy. If there's something that needs tidying up, if there's something that needs resolving, if you need to put your energy in, this is the time. Now, Toch is very much the energy which gives without looking for anything in return, and consequently you don't always get something in return for what you give. That's not why you give, right? It's all about giving unconditionally. And two Toch is about giving unconditionally, putting energy, putting service time into your relationship in order to make sure that any sickness within it, any disease within it, is balanced out and healed. Okay, so it's a great time to be working on those kind of things if they're required. If not, there are other ways of looking at it. Toch is about debts. Two Toch is both sides of that coin. So it's what is owed, but it's also what is it's what you owe, but it's also who's in debt to you. Now, often, we try and pay back our debts as soon as we can. Sometimes we kind of let debts towards us slide a little bit. We're kind of like, well, that person will pay us when they're ready and that kind of thing, and that's fine. I'm not kind of like advocating for going and putting pressure on people, but sometimes people might need a little gentle nudge to remember, hey, that tenner that I lent you last year, any chance of that back? It's kind of like just to give people the opportunity to pay off their debts, because when we pay off our debts, we are released from a burden. When we remind those people who are in debt to us to pay off those debts, we're helping them to release from a burden. Now, it's not to say go and put thumb screws on them and go, send around the heavies or anything like that. It's just maybe a gentle reminder, because maybe they forgot. They might have forgotten, but energetically they're still carrying it. So it's worth a little reminder just to say, hey, how about that? This gives us the opportunity to tidy up those kind of things before we go through to that ripening process, before we go through to that Trecena of Q'anil. From two Toch, we then go into three T. Now, three T, there are some sweet days, and there are some days which may be a little more challenging, and three T has the potential for that. T is about faith, loyalty, unconditional love, justice, law, all of those good things. And we see it with the three, and the three being the obstruction, the challenges, the difficulties. We might find our trust or our faith challenged on 3T. It may be that we have to look inside for our own guidance. We might have to look inside for our own trust, our own loyalty, loyalty to ourselves, loyalty to our homes, loyalty to the places in which we live. So 3T might not be necessarily the easiest day to navigate, but it's about going inside, having trust in yourself in order to, like, sometimes we lose faith in the world with all the kind of crazy stuff that happens in the world these days. It's kind of like sometimes it's only within our home or within ourselves we actually have that anchor to trust in. From 3T we then go into Forbats. Now Forbats, that's a lot more like it, right? Bats, joyful, fun. Bats, creative, beautiful. And the number 4 representing the material plane. So we're in this time of fruition, we're bringing stuff to its completion, and what do we see? Forbats. So Forbats is about getting your art, getting your beauty, getting your creativity into the physical world. If you can physically create art on Forbats, this is probably one of the greatest days to do it. Certainly even to put down the foundations for a creative project to come. Because sometimes the four can't get out of its box. Sometimes it can like be a little bit stuck to the material plane, can't always see outside of the edges, but sometimes we also need that solid foundation to build on. So it's a great day to make that foundation for your creative project. From Forbats, we are then going to move into 5 Okay, so the journey, the road, coupled with the number 5. So 5, work, effort. Okay, 5 well, days are usually good days to travel on. 5 might suggest a good day for travel for work, but it may also suggest that you might have to put just a little bit extra effort into your journey. It might not quite go as smoothly as planned. You'll probably get there, but it might take a little bit more effort than usual. So, if you have to go on a journey on 5, it would be maybe a wise decision. Leave a little bit earlier to accommodate any bumps in the road that you might encounter. From 5 we're going into 6. Now, 6 is one of these, again, very sweet days, because we have as the pillar of community. We have as the harmony in the home. And here with the 6, we have the material plane, the 4, combined with the divine planes, the heart of the sky and the heart of the earth, coming into that material plane. So it's about calling on the divine masculine and the divine feminine in order to support the home and bring harmony to the community. So 6 all of that's available. We can also see as representing our spinal column. And when we've got it combined with the 6, this is kind of like charging the spinal column, connecting above and below, bringing that energy into our physical spine and strengthening us. So, it's kind of like when we were looking at the 3Z and, saying, I might need faith in yourself. Well, suddenly 6 comes along, and this recharges us. It strengthens us. It kind of gives us that hope again. It gives us that future that, if we connect with divine source, we're able to bring that into our homes. We're able to bring that into our sphere of influence through our spinal columns. And so this is a great day to be very supportive within your home. It's a great day to look and to give support within your community, and that community, that support may well act on a physical level, but it's got a lot more to it than just that, because it's divinely inspired by above and below. From 6 we then go into 7 So 7, the top of the pyramid. Ish could be the pyramid itself. It's all about sacred sites and altars. It's about our magical spaces. Ish is our connection to the Mother Earth. It's where we go and ask for things. Here we see 7 is kind of like the end of the magic, finalizing the magic. Okay, as we expect, as we're going in this run up to kind of like the 13 Arpu, the ascension point, it's kind of like, right, okay, putting the final touches to the magic, putting the final touches to the ceremony. Okay, it's also, we can see it as kind of like the completion of our connection to Mother Earth, and we would expect that as we've gone through this 260 days, because if we look back, what we'll find is the first Trecena is Imosh, the second Trecena is Ish. 1 Ish and 7 Ish appear at the end of the calendar, in the same way that 1 Imosh and 7 Imosh appear at the end of the calendar. And so we started our magical journey way back then. Now we're coming to the end of it. Okay, so here we are, finishing off our connection to Mother Earth before we then connect back to the sky through Arpu. Okay, so this is a great day to go to sacred sites, to do any of that kind of ceremonial work. It's also a great day to be connecting to the divine feminine in whichever way, shape or form you do that, to finalize your connection, to bring balance to it, because the 7 is the balance point of the pyramid as well. So these are the sorts of things that we can do on 7 Ish. From 7 Ish we go to the ceremonial day of the Trecena. That's 8 Tzikin. So Tzikin about vision, Tzikin about prosperity. Tzikin days, these are days when we make our ceremonies for abundance. That abundance has to be taken in conjunction with our planet. We've just done the 7 Ish ceremony. We've just done the 7 Ish day. We've been talking about the connection with Mother Earth, with the spirit of Mother Earth. Then we go to 8 Tzikin. And I want to just spend a little time talking about this, because when I talk about prosperity, I'm talking about prosperity for all, prosperity for everything. This is not just prosperity for Big Corp to put more money in banks and not pay their taxes to the governments of countries they work in or anything like that. This is about sustainability. This is about ensuring that whatever we do, our community prospers, our environment prospers. Therefore, we have long-term sustainability on what we're creating, on our vision, so that we all prosper. Okay? 8 Tz'ikin is a day on which we can give our thanks, on which we can make our ceremonies in order to give thanks for the abundance that we receive, in order to give thanks for the prosperity that we receive in life. 8 Tz'ikin is a day on which we can make ceremonies to give thanks for the visions that we receive as we go through life. Okay? So it's a very important day. It's a great day if you want to set up a new business. 8 Tz'ikin is an absolute gem of a day to be doing it on, because it's about the wholeness of the vision. This is why I mention about the sustainability, because it's not just some kind of short-term vision. It's not just a kind of like easy to gain. It's 1 and 7. It's life and death coming together, wholeness, circle, which makes the wholeness of the vision. So it's celebrating the wholeness of the vision as we go through life. So it gives you the opportunity to say thank you for what you've received, for the prosperity that comes to your family and to your community, and to set your sights for the coming time, for the coming period. From 8 Tz'ikin, we then go to 9 Achmach. So Achmach, forgiveness. Achmach, redemption. Achmach, when we're looking at Achmach, we're always talking about Ho'oponopono, I'm talking about forgiveness. And here we see it combined with the number 9. We see it combined with the number which represents the divine feminine. We see it combined with the number which represents life itself. So this is maybe a day, if there are some women that you have in your life that need some apologies, this is a great day to make amends. This is a great day to fix that. Okay? More than that, Achmach is forgiveness about life, because life happens. Life isn't always fair. Life doesn't always work the way that we want it to. We do all this work, we follow our calendar, we make our ceremonies and all that kind of thing, and yet still things don't work out the way that we would like them to work out. And sometimes we hold grudges about that. Sometimes we get upset about it. Achmach days give us a time to reset. Say, right, okay, draw a line under it, forgive it. So it's particularly around women on this day, so it may be forgiveness to a woman, it may be asking for forgiveness from a woman. It could be either or. It could be asking for forgiveness of life. Now, the other aspect of Achmach, if we talk about it being about the sweetness of the human heart, is to really recognise that. To recognise it within the women in our lives. So it's really recognising the sweetness of the humanity of the, in particular, women around us. Okay, from 9 Achmach we then go into 10 Noch. Noch representing the left side of the brain, the left hemisphere of the brain, the logical side, the one that puts things in order, the one that puts things in line so that everything is lined up in the right way, the one that solves problems. And what do we see it with? Community. Two hands coming together, cooperation. So it may well be that in order to move on, in order to move up to this next level of the spiral that I've been talking about, maybe you need to go to your community and ask their advice on how to get the final part of the solution to move up, to kind of like get rid of anything that was holding you back and stopping you from moving upwards. It can also be seen, 10 Noch, I see very strongly, as helping to create solutions within your community. Noch can be quite selfless with what it does, simply because it's kind of like it's here to figure stuff out, to work out how to make new stuff happen, to work out how to solve problems. And here, those problems are the problems of the community. So this is a great day for community brainstorming to make the community a better place, to help it to function better. From 10 Noch, we then go into 11 Tihash. So we have Tihash, the holy warrior, Tihash, the surgeon, Tihash, the obsidian blade, healing day. Now, When we see 11 Tihash, this is a very strong day, and it can be unpredictable as well. Now, Tihash, while it can represent healing, it can also have a slightly belligerent aspect to it. You're swinging that sword around, that blade around, and here it's with the 11, and the 11 can be slightly wild and unpredictable. The 11 can be moving in directions that you don't expect it to move. I call it the rocket with the broken stick. You don't know quite where it's going to go next. So what you've got is an obsidian blade moving in random directions. Okay, so it might be a day to really be on your toes. Watch out for what's coming towards you, because it might be sharp, it might be cutting. Equally, it might be healing. The 11 suggests a journey into many different directions in order to get inspiration, in order to get the parts that we need. And Tihash is the healer. So it might suggest that healing doesn't just come from a singular direction. We need to look in many places in order to find it. And this is the other opportunity. However we look at it, 11 Tihash is a very, very strong day. The strong and possibly cutting energy. So it might be an idea. Tihash represents the teeth, and it's said that kind of like this is the cutting. It might be a day when we have to kind of like maybe bite our tongue a little bit, not too hard obviously, especially on an 11 Tihash day, but you know, kind of like I'm not saying that irreparable damage might be done on 11 Tihash, but things might get a bit wild and crazy out there, and it's sort of like it might be a day to kind of like really kind of watch where your energy is going and what you want to kind of like let fly, because it might be sharper than you expect. From 11 Tihash we then go into 12 Q'anil, Q'anil being the rainstorm, which has just arrived, and Q'anil of course being the midwife to the new, the midwife to the resurrection, the midwife to the next stage. And here we are, 12 Q'anil going into 13 Q'anil, the midwife to the resurrection, the midwife to the ascension. 12 Q'anil, taking together all of life's experiences, bringing them into one place and then using them to take forward the evolutionary side, to take forward into the next journey, into the next evolutionary cycle. Okay, so 12 Q'anil, washing away the obstacles in the past. Again, something which is strong. It's using our past experience to understand how to sweep aside anything that's holding us back from evolving, so we can move into that 13 Q'anil and get up that cycle, get up that into that next level of the spiral. 12 Q'anil again, as I said, like with 11 Tihash, it's a powerful day. You know, the flood doesn't allow anything to hold it back, and sometimes that means that it might carve a new course. That might not even be the easiest thing to do, but it's the way it's going to go. Q'anil is usually friendly, Q'anil is usually healing. Now, the feminine healing aspect of Q'anil might also have something in there where the 12 represents all of life's experiences bundled together, with Q'anil, which represents healing. So it's using your life experiences to heal whatever needs healing in order to move up to the next level as well. So either of those things and both of those things is possible at the same time in order to midwife us into the next level. And here it comes, here we get to it, 13 Q'anil. We're finally there, we're finally at that last step up the path, the last day of the calendar, as it were, before we move into the new cycle on 1 Imosh. 13 Q'anil, the day when we see ourselves, the day of mediums and psychics, one of the most potent days for divination in the whole calendar. Now, I use a phrase that it's the day on which we see ourselves, and this is because within Mayan astrology we can make composite readings, we can make relationship readings, we can take two people's nawals, put them together and work out what their journey is together. Now, we can do that. We can also do it with our own nawal and the nawal of the day. So everybody will see the energy of a day in a different way. Some people like Akhabal days, some people don't like Akhabal days. Some people like Ish days, some people don't like Ish days. It's all personal preference. I look at what I'm doing here. I'm giving like an energetic weather forecast, right? So on this day, this is likely to happen, or it's going to be like this, okay? Now, like any weather forecast, the way that you use it is going to depend on what your role is. So if the weatherman says tomorrow it's going to rain, the tourist is going to say, oh, I really wanted to go on that hike tomorrow, now it's going to rain, I'm not so happy about that. The farmer is going to say, great, I'm not going to have to irrigate tomorrow because the rain's going to come. The same weather forecast, different applications based on the role of who is observing it, okay? So we might say that the day is a particular nawal, your nawal will have a different interaction with it. On 13 Akhpu is like a sheet of glass. It's transparency. If you add the quality or value of your nawal and number to 13 Akhpu, what you get is your number and your nawal back again. This is why I say that 13 Akhpu is the day on which we truly see ourselves. It's the one day that acts like a clear sheet of glass. And so this is a day, of course, you know, we've come through the 260-day journey and finally we get back to ourselves. We get back to seeing ourselves. The combination is a zero, as it were. So this is where we get to with 13 Akhpu. If you need a divination, if you need a reading, 13 Akhpu is a great day to be doing it. You're really going to shine through. The people that carry 13 Akhpu, they're able to kind of like understand what the people around them are going through because they feel that energy, they combine with that energy in that way. So 13 Akhpu, everybody's going to be behaving like themselves. So if you really want to see what people are like, 13 Akhpu is a great day to meet them, okay? So I think that's about it. It's been a little bit longer than usual, 10 minutes longer than usual, I think. Not surprisingly, because it's such an important Trecena. So I wish you well on the last 13 days of this calendar cycle, on the last 13 days of this evolutionary journey. I'll see you again in 13 days' time. Thanks.